All right, everybody. Good late morning or early afternoon for some of you. And we are continuing on with quarterbacks. And now we're going down to the territory of high end, but nevertheless dead end backup. These are guys who, for one reason or another, being a high level backup or a low level starter is all they're going to be. That's their best case scenario. Some of these guys have just kind of gotten old and they've lost their skills and they haven't been playing so well lately. Some of these guys just they don't have that next notch to get up to where they need to be an actual like franchise or even fake franchise quarterback. They just kind of exist to now float around, find the team that needs the high end backup or the bridge quarterback, and just kind of do their job for a year or two. So, two scenarios here. The Seahawks keep Geno Smith, but lose Drew Lock, and they want to get a quarterback to back up Geno that they trust to be able to play relatively well if Geno gets hurt or Geno goes off a cliff. That's possible, right? Like Drew Lock, maybe he decides, look, I don't want to come back. I want to go somewhere where I at least have a chance to take the starting job. I want to go somewhere where I'll at least be competing for a starting job. But the Seahawks might not be comfortable with a backup rookie. They might want somebody that's like capable of running the offense now, capable of winning games now. Even if it's not anything great, they want it to be something serviceable. That's a possibility. The other possibility would be the Seahawks trade Geno, if you could still consider that to be on the table, and then they just want to go get a bridge quarterback for a year to buy time while they find their actual franchise quarterback. That's possible as well. Again, there's no guarantee it'll be locked. There's no guarantee. I know that John Schneider, Mike McDonald are both talking positively about Drew Lock, but that doesn't mean they're going to be able to keep them or necessarily even that they want to keep him. So we're going to take a look at some guys who would be good options for that, the bridge quarterback or the high-end backup quarterback. First guy that we got to talk about would be newly minted bridge-type quarterback, Ryan Tannehill. This guy was the franchise quarterback for Tennessee for some years there, but he's about to turn 36. He's coming off a year where he didn't play that much. Injuries are starting to become a little bit of a problem. He did not play very well in 2023 when he did play, like I said. And it's just a different phase of his career, and he's going to be looking to try to play the high-end backup game at this point, it looks like. PFF did think he played okay in 2023 for whatever it's worth. I do think it's worth noting that he did have some pretty crappy receivers in Tennessee, maybe the worst receivers in football, because they lost A.J. Brown, and Treylon Burks hasn't blossomed yet. So there might be a little something better you could get out of him. And I would kind of expect him to play much better in Seattle than Tennessee because the receivers are so much better. But at the same time, I don't think he'd be like a full-fledged starter that is going to win a bunch of games. So Spotrac says 1 year, $5 million for Tannehill. Sounds about right. That's probably a little bit less than what Drew Lock is going to get if my projections are correct. I think that Ryan Tannehill might end up getting like 1 year, $4 million. It's just a little different when you don't have upside anymore. Tannehill doesn't really have any upside at this point. He just has downside. When is Father Time going to make him completely untenable? That's the question. But that would be a viable option for like the veteran backup or bridge. Next guy, probably my favorite guy here, would be Jacoby Brissett. This is somebody who didn't play very much in 2023, but in 2022, when he played a lot filling in for Deshaun Watson, when Deshaun Watson was suspended, played fairly well. Put up good numbers, better numbers than what Watson put up, and was able to do the job for Cleveland while Watson was working on coming back. PFF thought he played great in 2023. Now, we don't care about that because he didn't play very much, but in 2022, they loved him as well. So there's some positivity here for sure with Jacoby Brissett. He's only going to be 31 when the year starts. Age is not going to be any kind of a problem for Brissett at this point. So I'm looking at this and I'm going, yeah, you could do a lot worse as a bridge / high-end backup. Still probably has good years in front of him. So Brissett would be the next guy that I take a look at here. Another guy would be Marcus Mariota. Marcus Mariota, minimal playing time in 2023 for the Philadelphia Eagles, but we do have a track record of him playing significant football previously because he was the starter for the Falcons the year before. And he played, well, let's numbers wise, pretty decently. And PFF also would say pretty decently. And I think we're finding out now that maybe that situation in Atlanta is a little bit overrated in terms of the receivers. We've seen Desmond Ridder completely fall on his face there. So Marcus Mariota, I mean, he's better than that, right? Mariota can beat that. So at this point, Mariota is a guy who would be happy to just be a bridge quarterback or a high-end backup in this league. I think that he would probably cost around what he cost in 2023, which was 1 year, $5 million. Brissett would, by the way, I didn't mention a price for Brissett. He would probably be a little bit more, maybe like 6 or 7 million. So all these guys would kind of be, in my opinion, in the same price range. All these guys would be somewhere around 4 million to 7 million to be a backup. Maybe some of them can push up a little bit higher than that because the cap went up. But just to be clear, if we're talking about money, I think all these guys are going to be somewhere between 4 million for 1 year or 8 million for 1 year. Somewhere in there. But Mariota's definitely a viable option. You've got Joshua Dobbs, who actually was showing some really positive signs in Arizona to start the season. Even though the team wasn't winning, he was playing pretty good football, pretty workable football on a god-awful team. And then he went to Minnesota and was off to a pretty good start. Things were kind of going his way. Things were looking good. And then it just kind of felt like the league got tape on him. The league kind of figured him out. And the Cinderella run just farted out. It was just dead. Just completely passed away on us. And I don't get the sense that Joshua Dobbs is anything more than a backup in the league at this point. There was a time in 2023 during the season where I might have said otherwise, but I think that we saw what he is as a player as the season went on, and eventually teams just kind of got the tape on him they needed to slow him down. He is only 29, so age is not a big deal, but if you want a bridge or if you want a high-level backup, he's a pretty reasonable option. PFF thought he played all right in 2023. We did actually play this guy once because he was for the Cardinals when we were playing them the first time. Spotrac does think he's going to get paid a little more than the average high-level backup, 6.7. I don't know if this is going to happen because of how poorly he played down the stretch. I think he even got benched at one point. So I don't think he's going to get this. I think it's going to be more like maybe 1 year, 5 million. I don't even know if it's going to get there. But either way, it's a viable option. I don't think there's upside, but he is capable of just kind of keeping his hands on the steering wheel. This next guy, I think, has already said he's likely to retire. But let's explore Teddy Bridgewater for a second here. Teddy Bridgewater, he's been around for a little bit now, had some devastating injuries in his career, had to overcome a lot, has done some impressive things in this league, but never really became the franchise quarterback people were hoping for when he got drafted in the first round. And the last couple years, he's found himself as the backup in Detroit, where he didn't play. And then the year before that, he was the backup in Miami, where he did play a little bit, and he played okay. Nothing over the top, nothing crazy, but he did play passable football. And I think he got hurt, actually, at the end of the season there as well, and forced the third stringer out there. So, not a lot of football played lately. Last time he did play for Denver, he actually did a good job. That's actually, the football that Teddy Bridgewater played in 2021 was probably better than the play they've gotten from any quarterback since Peyton Manning retired. It's not a high bar to clear, but he actually played respectable football and got that team to a 500 record in his starts, and that's not a very good team. They haven't had any other quarterback get them to that level of success before or after since Manning retired. PFF thought he played decently when he was the backup in Miami. In 2021, they thought he played pretty good when he was the starter. So probably still a little bit of good football left in this guy. He's going to turn 32 mid-season, so he's not super old yet, but there were some whispers about him retiring after the 2023 season. So I don't know if he's even going to be on the table. but you could probably throw him like 1 year, 3 million. Like he would be actually a little bit cheaper, I think, than a lot of these guys, and still be able to give you quality backup play because he just didn't get to play at all last year. How is he going to negotiate for more money when he barely? Yeah, he took 3 snaps in 2023. All right, last guy, and this is a guy who's not on this list yet, but he will be because we all know what's happening here. It's Jimmy Garoppolo. So Jimmy Garoppolo going to get cut from the Raiders for sure, especially now that he's been suspended for a couple games because of testing positive for something that he should not be testing positive for. Coming off a season with the Raiders where, I mean, he got benched. He got benched for performance issues, to be clear. So not so good, right? We're not too enthusiastic about that. The guy had more interceptions than touchdowns. The guy led a pretty inept offense. It wasn't all bad. I do think that he did a respectable job in a few areas, but it's very clear that he's not a starting caliber quarterback anymore, and if he wants to stay in this league, he probably just needs to take that kind of high-level backup or bridge quarterback contract of like 1 year, 4 million. And honestly, don't be shocked if Garoppolo retires. He's made his money. He's had his success in this league. He might just go, I don't really like football enough to stick around for a $4 million backup job. I'd rather just retire and go have fun with my money. PFF thought he played decently last year as a member of the Raiders, but again, he did get benched, so I think there's a bigger picture here that PFF is missing. By the way, in 2022, when he was the starter eventually for the Niners, he did, there was that thing where he lost his job and was badly outplayed by Mr. Irrelevant. But as a bridge quarterback, he would probably be functional. So those are my bridges. Those are my high-end backups. Let me know what you think. Who do you like? I'll see you guys later. Go Hawks.